Happy New Year! It's the first day of 2025 and we're here to bring you the latest headlines and stories shaping Israel and the world as we step into a brand new year. Hamas brought in the new year by firing rockets towards Israel. The terrorists also brought new conditions to the stalled hostage for ceasefire mediation in Doha. Air defense dealt with the rocket, and Israeli officials say Hamas' call for a ceasefire without release of hostages is a non-starter. More from ILTV Steve Leibowitz.
Just at midnight, bringing the start of the new year 2025, Hamas fired rockets toward Israel. The IDF says that 2 rockets were fired toward Kisufim, with 1 intercepted by air defense while the other fell in an open area. It was the 5th day in a row Hamas managed to fire projectiles at Israel. It's day 453 of the war in Gaza. The IDF announced the elimination of the Nukba commander who infiltrated kibbutz near Oz on October 7th. Abed al-Khadi Sabah was killed in an airstrike. The army says that after the massacre and throughout the war, Sabah has led numerous terror attacks on Israeli forces in Gaza. Earlier, the IDF eliminated Anas Masri, the commander of the northern sector of the Islamic Jihad rocket unit. Masri was responsible for some of the recent rocket fire directed at southern Israel. The IDF says it sealed off the hospital used by Hamas as a terror base. The Adwan hospital in Jabalia is now fully under IDF control after over 240 terrorists were arrested and 20 killed. Before the anti-terror op, the army evacuated hundreds of patients and staff from the medical facility. Turning to the hostage for ceasefire talks, Hamas has reportedly placed a new condition on the table, calling for a 1-week ceasefire without the return of hostages. Hamas claims that it needs time to gather the list of living hostages demanded by Israel. At the same time, Hamas is now reportedly willing to free only 22 of the 34 living hostages demanded by Israel in the first phase of a potential deal. Hamas is reportedly offering to release 22 living hostages and the bodies of 12 in the first phase. Israeli negotiators made clear that it would only accept living captives in the initial period. After a period of relative optimism that an agreement could be reached before President Biden leaves office on January 20th, the U.S. says a deal is still possible, but Hamas's intransigence remains the stumbling block to an agreement.
There are signs of cracks in the 60-day ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon. There have been no cross-border attacks, but the IDF noted Hezbollah's efforts to rearm and struck operatives transferring weapons in South Lebanon. The Air Force struck the Hezbollah cell in an airstrike as the terrorists were moving weapons from a warehouse to a vehicle. The exact location was not given, but both the terrorists' vehicle and warehouse were hit. The army said it remains committed to the understandings reached between Israel and Lebanon and will continue to work to eliminate any threats. We are now in the second half of the 60-day agreement due to end before the end of this month. Hezbollah issued an aggressive statement saying that the IDF better leave Lebanese territory by the end of the ceasefire period and will respond to any violations on day 61. The 61st day will be a new day and the situation will change. And Israel is also reportedly considering what to do on the 61st day. The IDF is committed to withdraw from South Lebanon, but the slow deployment of the Lebanese army and the extensive arsenal of Hezbollah still being uncovered are raising the chances that the IDF will remain in parts of South Lebanon after the 60-day period ends. 5 days after the last massive Israeli strike on the Houthis in Yemen, it was the Allies' turn. U.S. forces hit terrorist targets in the Yemenite capital and on the coast. More from ILTV Steve Leibowitz.
The U.S. hit Houthi targets across Yemen overnight. The strikes come amid repeated attacks by the Iran-backed Houthi rebels on Israel and shipping in the Red Sea. The U.S. Central Command said its forces hit Houthi bases in the capital city of Sana'a that the rebels used to attack American warships and commercial vessels. The U.S. Navy and Air Force also attacked coastal regions and destroyed 7 cruise missiles and UAVs over the Red Sea. The Houthis have targeted Israel with ballistic missiles and UAVs 5 times in the past 10 days, and Israeli officials said that Israel's solution to the Houthi threat is based on working with the international coalition led by the U.S. Israel last launched airstrikes on the Iran-backed Houthis on December 26th. Those strikes hit Sana'a International Airport and military infrastructure at the ports of Hodaya, Salif, and Ras Kanatib, along with power stations. The official added that now that Israel has exposed Iran's vulnerabilities, there's an opportunity for Israel to work with the international coalition to eliminate the threat of the Iranian proxy in Yemen.
Israel's population has crossed the 10 million benchmark for the first time. However, new data is showing that Israel's population growth is slowing down, with a significant increase in residents moving abroad. The latest report from the Central Bureau of Statistics paints a complex picture of demographic trends that could have lasting implications. Israel's population growth rate has reached its lowest point in years. While the country's overall population still increased, the pace of that growth has slowed, raising questions about long-term demographic trends. One key factor is a sharp rise in Israelis moving abroad. The latest statistics reveal a notable spike in emigration, with more residents choosing to leave the country compared to previous years. Experts attribute this to a combination of economic pressures, political unrest and the impact of the war, and the appeal of opportunities overseas. At the same time, immigration into Israel has also declined slightly, further impacting the growth rate. While Aliyah, or Jewish immigration, remains a significant contributor to population growth, this year's numbers did not match the highs of previous years. Around 181,000 babies were born in Israel throughout 2024, with about 76% of them born to Jewish mothers and 24% to Arab mothers. And so domestically, natural population growth, births minus deaths, continues to drive the increase in residents. However, even this metric has shown signs of slowing as birth rates have gradually decreased over the past decade. Israel's population is now said to have crossed the 10 million benchmark for the first time, with projections for steady growth in the coming years. Yet, the latest figures underscore the need for policies addressing the factors driving emigration and fostering conditions that encourage residents to stay. As we step into 2025, Israel faces a pivotal year filled with challenges and opportunities, from economic pressures and societal divides to technological advancements and regional diplomacy. Joining us now is Professor David Pasig, futurist from Bar-Ilan University, to help understand what lies ahead for Israel in the new year. Thank you for joining, David.
Thank you.
As we step into 2025, what do you see as the biggest challenges facing Israel today? And what are the most pressing security threats Israel will face in the new year?
Well, it's not a secret anymore. The more pressing issue is of course, Iran. Everybody knows it. The whole issue is what's the tactic that Israel needs to take in order to tackle that challenge. That challenge is not just an Israeli challenge, it's a worldwide challenge. So this is the most pressing issue from that point of view for the next year. Of course, there are other pressing issues, from social issues to economic issues. But, in order to have some social issues, you have, first of all, to have security. And security is the most pressing issue in the next coming year.
Absolutely. And security-wise, is there any path that you see towards de-escalation or resolution on any of these multifaceted fronts? Or should Israel be preparing for a prolonged period of conflict?
Well, from the very beginning, we said that this conflict is going to take between 3 to 5 years. That's if the conflict will remain a regional conflict. However, there are other trends that are emerging, that are world issues that might also bring the world to a much aggressive conflict in different places worldwide. If that trend will continue to realize and materialize, that means that even the regional one will stretch a little bit more than those 3 to 5 years. Israel and the region has entered a decade that is very volatile, very dangerous, because a lot of trends are merging together that bring this region into that kind of growing tensions. The Israeli society is very resilient, and economy is also very resilient, and it gives the Israeli society a little bit more room to maneuver in a conflict situation. And therefore, we're going to see at least the next year, with some levels of conflict that are rising and going down, rising and going down, but it's not over.
Well, speaking of the Israeli society, 2024 was a year of significant political debate in Israel. We've had the judicial reforms, the enlistment laws, and of course the regular nationwide protests for the release of the hostages. What impact has this had on Israeli society, do you think, and the public trust in the government and its institutions?
We have reached a point in Israeli history in which we have to solve a lot of disagreements, or if you wish, future imageries, how we would like to see Israel as a nation in the 21st century and beyond. And all those issues are kind of merging together in the 20th, the years of this very specific decade. We have seen it already coming from years ago, and I hope that we'll be able to overpass this decade without having very grave kind of activities that will be similar to a brutal civil war. But this is a natural phenomena that most of the nations are going in their 70 years or the 80 years, and it's also coming to Israel, and we have to solve those misunderstandings. We have to solve those miscalculations of how each group has calculated and it was able to foresee the way they would like to see this very young nation. And it's a natural phenomenon. The only thing we need to be very careful about is not to slide into some kind of a civil war that will need much more efforts to overcome that trauma also.
And if I had to point out one or two, what are the key opportunities you see for Israel in 2025 that could help it overcome the challenges and thrive as a society?
Well, the most important parameter that is really unusual by all means that depicts and characterizes the Israeli society is the amount of people that are in the cohort between birth to 25-year-old. We are more than 45% of the Israeli society is in that very specific cohort. Now that's a great potential, economic potential, social potential of a new nationhood like the Israeli nationhood. And we need to take care that that cohort will be very much educated, will be very healthy, and this is what we call the demographic dividend that Israel is expecting to see in the next 25 years, when that cohort will move into the next cohort, which is the most important cohort in any society, economic cohort, social cohort, everything. And that cohort will be able to change a lot of issues, will be able to bring a lot of new point of views into the political arena. And if we will be able to educate that cohort, if we'll be able to understand their needs, Israel is having an amazing potential in the next 25 years, reaching mid-21st century.
Very interesting. Thank you very much, Professor David Passig.
Thank you.
Moving to Israel marks the beginning of a new chapter, and Pitaro Hecht helps you make it truly yours. Transform your home with interiors that blend style, comfort, and timeless design, from luxurious living spaces to thoughtful details. With high-quality craftsmanship at great value, we create spaces where memories are made. For your new life in Israel, choose Pitaro Hecht, where your home begins.
If you're planning on visiting Israel in 2025, there's a new layer of screening you'll need to go through before you even step into Israel. ILTV's Shosh Bedrosian is at Ben Gurion International Airport with what you need to know about this.
Well, starting today on January 1st, travelers who plan on arriving in Israel from visa-exempt countries like the United States, the UK, European Union will have to apply for a travel permit before they land here. Before 2025, travelers from visa-exempt countries have been able to travel to Israel without this type of authorization. Now, the new mandatory electronic travel authorization for Israel is for tourists who plan on short stays here. It replaces the typical visa application process and can be completed entirely online, and it costs about 25 shekel per visitor. Once you obtain the travel permit, it will be valid for 2 years and allows multiple entries into Israel for a maximum of 90 days per visit. Now, with the ongoing conflict in Gaza and surrounding areas, the new regulation for authorization is designed to improve national security, regulate the immigration process, and improve services, according to the Population and Immigration Authority here. They say the procedure will enable authorities to review passenger data before they arrive in Israel. Now, the application for the travel permit must be completed before you arrive in Israel. It takes about 24 to 72 hours to get approved. And once you arrive in Israel, the process through customs will be a lot more seamless.
Now, Shosh, for a while, many airlines halted their flights in and out of Israel. Has this changed at all?
Yeah, well, we are hearing that one airline, Wizz Air, plans on resuming flights in and out of Tel Aviv to about 10 different destinations, including Europe, starting on January 15th. Of course, there are so many other airlines that still are not resuming their flights here, including major ones like United and Delta that would frequently have flights in and out of Tel Aviv daily.
Thank you very much, Shosh. We now have the pleasure of speaking with musical artist Matisiao, who you may know from his #1 hit song, One Day. Matisiao has been an extremely valuable voice in the music industry when it comes to combating anti-Semitism, as he engaged in multiple campaigns and online activism, offering a crucial perspective in a post-October 7th time. Now, Matisiao is actively releasing music that is set to inspire Jewish people all around the world. And joining me now to further elaborate is Jewish hip-hop and reggae artist Matisiao. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Now, you have a new project titled The Father's Live, featuring Remedy from Wu-Tang Clan. Can you share with our viewers what the message behind this song is and how it came to be?
Yeah, Remedy is a rapper that a lot of people don't know that there was a Jewish member of the Wu-Tang Clan. For people from my generation that grew up with the Wu-Tang Clan being probably the most influential rap group of our time. He has a song called Never Again, which is a song about the Holocaust. I heard that song when I was in high school, when I was maybe, I think it came out in 1997 or something like that. So I was graduating high school around then, and I was really inspired by that song. It was the first time I heard like Jewish prayers mixed together with hip hop, and it inspired me, to do more music, to do more rapping when I was 17 years old or so. So he made a song that came out, a diss track on the Macklemore, and I saw it on my Instagram. I thought it was really good, and I reached out to him about working together. So we came together to make this song. When we were in the studio, basically it was like a track, and then I wanted to add a chord progression, a change, which is the Am Yisrael Chai part, for like a chorus. And we ended up just like stripping away like the bass and the guitar, so it was just the drums, and then I sang the parts for the chord change that goes along with the Am Yisrael Chai. And then when that happened, I just felt like the song just kind of like felt really inspiring song. Obviously, Am Yisrael Chai is that's like the theme right now for every Jew that supports Israel, and that's kind of been like the reoccurring theme for myself at a lot of my shows. And so it's nice to have a song where that the lyric is that, and the fathers live, again, it comes from that lyric, Am Yisrael Chai Od Avinu Chai. So yeah, and I wanted to shoot the video just in a Jewish setting, like in Brooklyn, like somewhere like, for example, like where I made my first album, Shake Off the Dust, Arise. I was studying in Yeshiva in Crown Heights, and I would go to downtown Brooklyn to to put filling on people, and ended up recording music down there on Fridays. So it was nice to go back to that same area. Rabbi Raskin, who I've known for years and years, in his shul, and I wanted to put together an eclectic group of Jews that like kind of all look different from each other, all different types of Jews, and luckily that's who showed up. And we got Michael Rappaport and a bunch of strong Jews like the Beitar guys, a bunch of Jews that aren't afraid to stand up for themselves and to stand up for Israel. And that's essentially the message of the song, is to just be strong and be Jewish and be proud. Wow.
And so what other projects are you involved in these days that coincide with your mission?
Well, I mean, I'm just on tour. I'm releasing music. All the music that I'm releasing, is always supposed to be inspirational music to people. And certainly I have a bunch of new songs that I'm going to be releasing now that I feel will be very inspirational to people, and playing shows and providing a place for people to come where they can feel safe to wear a yarmulke or have an Israeli flag or sing along to the lyrics of Matisyahu and feel some kind of empowered feeling. So that's the mission, and it's kind of always been my mission, but especially since October 7th, it's become more prevalent, more purposeful, I'd say. Yeah.
Matisyahu, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us today.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And moving on, here's an exciting way to support Israel and make a difference. The Dream Raffle, organized by Am Yisrael Chai, is back, giving you the chance to win a $1 million luxury apartment in the heart of Jerusalem. Every ticket purchased supports incredible causes, like donating Torahs to IDF bases, planting fruit trees, and helping families in need. Each ticket also gives you a verse in the Torah connecting you to this incredible mitzvah. Join the mission today by scanning the QR code, dream big, and make a difference. Students from all different backgrounds at Reichman University came together to light Hanukkah candles as the school continues to see a high-level enrollment since the war started. ILTV's Shosh Bedrosian reports from Herzliya.
Students at Reichman University in Herzliya are preparing to light the Hanukkah as a community.
Just people from all around the world, like meeting in at one point, just really connecting the community together.
The diversity of students at this school is rich.
Each of these students comes from a different country.
On the sixth night of Hanukkah, they invited 40 prospective students and their families to learn about Reichman programming.
The new year that began academically had an increase. And this is in spite of the fact that Israel's at war. So we have an increase in the number of students here, which is utterly amazing.
With current students and prospective ones from diverse Jewish and non-Jewish backgrounds, the community came together to honor 6 students from 6 different countries to light the Hanukkah.
Some of you, it might be the first time you're ever lighting candles of Hanukkah, and some of you might not be of the Jewish faith.
Many of the students have spent hundreds of days serving in the reserves, a common experience felt throughout the campus. From one student to the next, the shamash was passed on for each candle to be lit as the community joined together in making the blessing and finding specific meaning in each night of Hanukkah this year.
This entire Hanukkah on campus has just been really meaningful because I've lit with my friends every night, but truly every night I think we put a lot of meaning into just praying for the hostages to be brought home and for this war to end. It really signifies just the ending of this war, please God.
In Herzliya, Shosh Bedrosian, ILTV.
Now let's take a look at the weather forecast. Clear skies expected around the country tonight with lows of around 8 degrees Celsius or 46 Fahrenheit. Then tomorrow we will see sunny day alongside steady top temperatures, seeing highs of about 18 degrees Celsius or 60 degrees Fahrenheit. That's a wrap for today's news. For the latest updates from Israel on all your devices, be sure to follow our ILTV channels, subscribe to our newsletter, and explore our website, iltv.tv. Stay informed with the latest news straight from the heart of Israel. I'm Sivan Raviv. Be well, Happy New Year, and thank you so much for watching.